Hello friends, good to be back with you again, but with a new series now on fear. It's one of the most complicated and easiest emotion that we're going to talk about. When I ask you a question, what do you fear most? The first and foremost answer that we generally come up with is, I don't have any fears, I'm good. So when I ask you again one more time, what actually do you fear? Then we may get some kind of random answers like, I fear heights, I fear water, I fear snakes, or I fear lizards. These are some random answers that we generally tend to get, and most of these answers are related to your physical safety or something that's related to your physical issues, or physically you tend to fear. But if you take one more step back and start looking at what exactly do I fear, then we may get different answers. So if you're all working then, or if you're studying, then you may get some kind of answers like, I fear failure. Or if you look at students, if you ask them, they may come up with, I fear maths, or I fear physics, or I fear chemistry, or some other subject. But again, is this the end of it? Is this what actually we fear, or is there something more to it? Then the answer is there is a lot more to it. Now we'll go deeper into it in the later episodes, but let's understand what this fear is all about. Fear, if you kind of look at it, one part is a very instinct response that we're going to get from within our body, from the mind, and from within the organs. Whenever a perceived threat is there, we get to see this response immediately. In this response, either we get into a fight mode, or a flight mode, or a freeze mode, and which is nothing new about this. We all know about this. So whenever you're fearful, you may feel a kind of a clenching in your jaws, or you may feel kind of chillness in your spine, or you may tighten your wrists. So this is kind of a response that we tend to get. And the second part to it is, there is an innate fear internally within us, which actually is there naturally or due to some kind of learned experiences. So say for example, you fail mathematics once. So second time when you're kind of writing your exam, you have this fear that you may fail your exam. Or say for example, you screw up your financial position due to some kind of financial decisions that you have taken. The second time when you're trying to invest, or when you're trying to put in your money somewhere, there is always this fear that, oh okay, I need to be a little more careful about this. So what exactly this fear is trying to do is, it is actually protecting us. If it is not going to protect, then the chances that we are going to die is very high. Say for example, you do not have fear, then you can just go stand in front of a cobra. You don't care whether it's going to bite you, right? Because you have that instinct response that is innate, because you go to a snake, it's going to bite, and there is a possibility that you can die. So you don't survive anymore, or the possibility for your survival is very less. So we all have this thing within us, the fear of survival, which actually drives us to have this fear in place. So whichever is instinct, whichever is very natural, so we always come up from the base of survival. So whenever there is a question of survival, this fear is actually protecting us not to take any kind of hasty decisions, or don't jump into the traffic in front of a bus or a lorry, right? So this is actually protecting you. So even in the learned fears that you have learned over a period of time, so whenever you are making a financial decision, because of the experiences you had with the financial investment, what you do is you will be more cautious. You don't rush up and start investing into everything and anything that comes your way, right? So this actually is protecting you. The fear is actually protecting you. But then what we were told during our childhood is, fear is something which we shouldn't be possessing it. It's actually a weakness, right? We have been told many a times during our childhood. So our parents always asked us to be more courageous. Go face it. So how can you have courage without fear? So fear is actually something that should be there to have courage. So fear actually is not a weakness, but it is like a strength. It is actually a protector. If you don't have fear, then the possibility of survival would be very less, right? So if we don't have fear, what is going to happen? If we have fear, that also can bind you, that also can drop boundaries for you and make you immovable. Now that we understood that fear is actually a strength or actually a protector, let's go back to our own self. Look at within our own self. Take a pen and paper, start writing what fears do we have. Not at a superficial level in terms of, okay, I fear blood, or I fear lizards, or I fear heights, or I fear water, but go a little deeper. You may go to an extent of, I fear failure, I fear change, this kind of answers you may get. And go a little more deeper where the question of survival comes into the picture. I fear death, kind of answers, which are much more deeper. This list is for yourself, for your use, so don't be afraid. Be very courageous to write down all your fears, because once you start facing these fears, you will not be in a position to fear the fear. So let's start doing this exercise. Before we come up with the next episode, where we're going to look at how this fear can be a confinement if we don't address it properly. So before we get to the next episode, start doing this small little exercise for your own benefit, and then in the next episode, we'll try to address these particular fears that are going to come up in your list. Till then, have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, if you think any of your friends would be getting help by watching this video, please forward it to them. Please help all the people to come out of these fears. Embrace fears. Thank you so much.